and welcome to In the Garden with Flower Hill Farm, a podcast brought to you by Botanical Interests. I'm your host, Nicole Pitt. I am very excited about today's episode. We will be sitting down with the Sweet Pea Queen, Marryn Mathis, from the Farmhouse Flower Farm. She started offering online classes all about growing sweet peas in 2020 and offered some classes on her farm as well, and is now the author of a gorgeous book called Sweet Pea School. It's truly a work of art. Marin will tell us how to grow the best sweet peas and how she got started in the world of flowers coming up. For many people, sweet peas take them back in time. They are highly scented flowers and can trigger memories of loved ones and gardens from the past. The ruffled petals can bring such whimsy to both a garden trellis and a beautiful bouquet. I'll be starting my sweet peas this week, which of course brings us to our seed of the day. Botanical Interests offers more than a dozen different seed packet options for sweet peas. Everything from sweet peas designed for hanging baskets, perennial varieties, and colorful blends. The Bouquet Blend offers a series of Spencer varieties, which have extra long and sturdy stems, which are great for cutting. Don't get these confused with the edible peas. Parts of the sweet peas, including the seeds, are toxic, beautiful, but not for the kitchen. So be cautious around children and pets. Sweet peas were first recorded growing wild in Sicily, and seeds were sent to England in the late 1600s. From there, breeders started creating all of the colors we grow today. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, sweet peas were one of the most fashionable flowers. There were sweet pea shows, sweet pea competitions, and entire gardens grown just for sweet peas. Some growers still keep that tradition alive, and one of them is our guest today. We chat with Marryn Mathis coming up next. Stay with us. Welcome back to In the Garden with Flower Hill Farm. Today's guest is someone many flower growers know as the go-to person when it comes to sweet peas. Marryn Mathis has built a reputation for growing some of the most beautiful, fragrant sweet peas you'll ever see. And she's helped countless gardeners learn how to succeed with a flower that might be considered challenging, but also so rewarding. Marryn Mathis, thank you so much. The Sweet Pea Queen has joined us. Welcome.
Thank you for having me, Nicole. This is great.
I'm so excited that we could get together. You're on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. We're making it happen.
We're making it happen. We're making it work.
So tell me, when did you first become involved in the world of flowers?
Honestly, I kind of feel like the flowers found me, essentially, just because I have a really strong background in IT. So I actually worked for a local healthcare clinic here in our area for 21 years, straight out of high school. So that was the only job that I had ever had. And when my youngest son was born, I just decided to be a stay-at-home mom because I loved who I worked with, but I did not like what I did at all. And then through a series of events, I discovered flower farming, and down the rabbit hole I went, just like everybody else. And it's just every twist and turn along the way, I feel like has brought me to where I'm supposed to be.
And what year was that for you?
I started in 2018.
Me too. Yeah, yes,
that was a
year.
good year.
Okay.
It was a good year.
It was. And mine was a similar story. My son was a little bit older, I think, than yours, but he was diagnosed with an immune system deficiency. And so he was just sick a lot. So I needed to be home, and I needed to just shift what I was doing. So, I mean, I'm glad we both landed in the same place, to be honest.
Oh, absolutely. I can't think of a better, it has the flexibility that we need as moms, right? Like, if my kids just got over the flu, for example. So it's been nice to be able to be home and be able to kind of like move things around a little bit and, be accommodating to them.
And most people who own their own business can say that they make their own schedule, but in reality, Mother Nature makes our schedule.
Oh, absolutely. Mother Nature dictates. Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Right now we've got an atmospheric river happening right now.
Oh, really?
Like it is torrential downpour this week. So
for people who aren't familiar with your location, where are you?
So we're about 45 minutes north of Seattle in a town called Stanwood in Washington State.
Okay.
Yeah.
So take us back to your first year. What did you first start out with? What did you grow?
Oh, I wanted to grow like all the things, right? So, I mean, it was sweet peas, it was dahlias, it was calendula, bachelor buttons, amaranth. I mean, you name it. I wanted to get my hands on it. I wanted to I'm one of those hands-on learners. I wanted to really experience everything. And it was really the sweet peas and the dahlias, but the sweet peas for sure that it was really like this full circle moment from my childhood that, it really made sense. And just, it was this passion took hold, and I couldn't get enough of them. And so then every year, ever since then, it's been more and more and more and more and more and more in depth. Just, learning about them, sharing about them, just really just taking it all in. And, my sweet pea patch it's not just my office, right? It's the best office ever, but it's my office, it's my classroom. It's kind of my therapy, basically. It's where I learn, it's where I grow. And I just, take it all in so that I can share that with other people. So it's really honestly taken me by surprise, but in a really good way.
Oh, I can imagine. So I grew sweet peas my first year as well. I only grew, I believe, maybe 2 varieties, Nimbus and Midnight. I remember those 2 varieties. They did amazingly well. And then shortly thereafter, I took a trip to Farmer Bailey's when he had the farm in Vermont. And he had those hoop houses that were, the sweet peas were 11, 12 feet tall in those hoop houses. And I had an emotional reaction walking in there. Is that what it's like for you when you experience being surrounded by sweet peas?
Oh, for sure. Like if my husband can't find me, he knows that I'll be in one of the greenhouses with the sweet peas, because honestly, it's, especially with my grandma passing over the last few years. And I actually purchased the naming rights for one of actually both sweet pea varieties called Beverly Ann and Ada Marie after my grandmother's. And so it's just been a really healing moment for me, but it's just, they're such an emotional flower, right? They just it really surprises you where it kind of takes you. Just, it's kind of entrancing almost, just the smell, the sight, just how whimsical they are. And you can just get lost in it. It's almost like this jungle of sorts of flowers that you're surrounded by. So they're really, truly captivating.
I want to talk about the breeding that you're doing coming up in just a few minutes. But first, though, how many varieties of sweet peas? Tell us about your plot and what you have going on there.
So we grow roughly 40,000 sweet peas. I know. So it went from like one modest row to, it's really kind of taken over. But I actually have 7 sweet pea patches here on the farm, just in all sorts of different growing conditions, just because I want to experiment, where do they respond the best? We've got full sun, we've got, morning sun, afternoon shade, we've got east, west, north, south, all the things. And 40,000. We're about 160 varieties this year, but my trial patch is actually, I would say a good 50 varieties of trials that I'm hoping to bring, onto the seed market, just because they're not, regular varieties that you would actually see out there right now. But yeah, I'm really excited, and we've got our own variety that we're working on. So just, making lots of crosses, and I just kind of feel like maybe that's the next step for us.
Okay, so explain this to me, because the way that I learned about sweet peas was that the seeds stay true to the mother plant. So if you collect it. So how does crossbreeding work with that?
You can't just rely on the bees to do it, because, sweet peas are selfers, so they don't cross-pollinate naturally. So you actually, it involves paintbrushes and, taking things apart just very, very delicately in bud stage. And it's very in-depth. So I was actually gifted the experience of being able to be taught by Roger Parsons how to hybridize sweet peas back in 2022. And I went to England, and that was like the first sweet pea that I smelt that season was in his greenhouse. And I was just like a kid in a candy store, just like soaking it all in. Right. But he taught me how to do it. And so I've just been, kind of just putting my toe in the water a little bit here. And, it takes a long time for a new variety to come to market, just because you have to, get the seed the first season after you've made the cross. Then you have to grow it out and see if the genetics stay true, and, keep growing it and growing it and growing it. And then we send it over to a trial garden, and, it gets critiqued, and, just all of the things. So it's very in depth. It's not like dahlias where you can just, collect the seed from the field, see what the bees crossed, grow that out. And, 4 or 5 years later, you have a new variety. It's very, very in depth.
It's much more intentional, it sounds like.
It's very intentional. Very intentional.
So is there a difference between the varieties for cut flowers versus the shorter varieties or maybe the heirloom varieties, or do they all kind of act the same?
Oh, they're very different, very different. So the heirloom varieties have shorter stems, smaller flowers. I wouldn't necessarily recommend like the old fashions or some of the grandifloras for bouquet work, just because those stems are short and those flowers
Mhm.
are smaller. Now the fragrance is intense on those, but so that's why it makes sense for like home gardeners to grow those. If
Yeah.
you're just looking for the fragrance, and like a backdrop in your garden or whatever. But the Spencers and the semi-grandifloras, those are going to be the ones, and the early flowering, those are going to be the ones that you really want to, the cut flower market really wants to gear towards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What is it about sweet peas? Why do they get a bad rap for being difficult?
I think it's because, a lot of people, there's so many different like little tweaks that they can make here and there to really make or break their success with their sweet peas. So,
Hmm.
some people can only, depends on where you live, really. I mean, knowing your zone is key because they are a cool flower, right? So, like people in the South that get really warm, they can only fall sow their sweet peas. And, some of them, because, I really feel like the early multiflora varieties really are, I really want to give them the attention that they deserve because they only take 10 hours of sunlight to induce the bloom cycle. Where the
Ooh.
Spencers, I know, right? So no matter where you live, you can grow the early flowering. So if you want to extend your season, add some of those to your sweet pea patch. But if you live in the South or wherever, it gets warm really quickly, you want to try to beat Mother Nature at her own
Yeah.
game, right? So you want to fall sow your sweet peas and grow those early multiflora varieties, and you're going to get blooms a lot sooner. Whereas let's say you're in Texas and you're going to get King's Ransom, which is a Spencer, and you're not going to start it until January or February. You're not going to be very successful with your sweet peas. You're probably not even going to see blooms before it gets too warm for them. Versus if you started in the fall, this is a lot, but if you started in the
Yeah.
fall and grew a different type, you would be a lot more successful. So that kind of became my passion project with my book, is that the more I talked to people about sweet peas, so many people had given up on them because they weren't
Hmm.
successful the first go around. And so by just, teaching them just, a few minor changes here and there, depending on their growing zone, temperature, different varieties that they can play with, that kind of thing, they've been successful. And so that's been really cool to see, people give them another shot and to really succeed this time.
Yeah. So the book you're talking about is Sweet Pea School. I have my own
Yes.
signed copy here. No big deal. No big deal. Got a little autograph in here. So this really started before the book. You were teaching courses. Were they on farm courses or online courses?
Well, it started in person and then COVID hit. And so we moved it to online. And people from 26 different countries around the world have attended Sweet Pea School, which is pretty awesome. And then that kind of like just shifted into a book. So I still do the online classes as
Hmm.
well as the book, but I've been able to reach a lot of people with both the book and the online class.
How was the process of writing a book about a specific flower? I mean, how long did it take you? I'm sure so much research was involved.
So much. And, so much. I mean, you wonder like, how is it going to be perceived? Are people going to like it? Are they going to find it inspiration? I didn't want it to be scientific. I wanted it to be inspiring and
Hmm.
actually, show people how to grow them on a really basic level. So it didn't really confuse them, but it also, inspired them and just showed them all of the attributes of sweet peas, from the history of sweet peas to the different types to how to grow them, how to arrange them. And then, that translated into all of my favorite varieties. So if they're starting from scratch, they, kind of know which ones are really good ones. But it was a 4-year process,
Okay.
and yeah, it was honestly, it was the most intense and hardest thing that I've ever done. But it actually started after one of my workshops. One of my students was like, have you ever thought about writing a book? And just the thought of it just scared me to death because English was not my strong suit in high school. Let's be honest. But I just, I thought, like, if you're not growing, is what this journey is all about, right? And being able to share and inspire others with sweet peas. And so I'm like, okay, here we go. I mean, what's the worst they can say is no. And so I put together a book proposal. And then I got an agent, which she was fantastic. And anybody out there that is thinking about writing a book, get yourself an agent.
Yes.
It made a huge difference. And then we shopped it to different publishers, and I landed with Chronicle, and it felt like home from the very beginning. It was,
Good.
they believed in it. They were super excited about it. And we just, had a great team, and we came out with a really beautiful product that I'm really proud of.
Wow. Well, honestly, it is probably one of the most beautiful books that I've held in my hands, not just visually, but the feel of it, the gold inlay, like everything is just so perfect. Congratulations. It's really beautiful.
Thank you.
And I will tell you, I have a degree in journalism, and I am terrified to write a book. That's my degree. And I have probably 4 or 5 books in my head, and I'm just so, I guess I'm a little scared to take that jump someday.
Honestly,
yes.
It's also been the most rewarding, the most yes. terrifying and the most intense, but also the most rewarding. Just to see, like, I had a book signing at our farm this last summer, and I had a lady come up to me. She said that she's been growing. Her name was Sylvia, and bless her heart, she was the sweetest thing. And she says, I've been growing sweet peas for 70 years, and I still learned something from your book. And I was like bawling.
Oh, those are the best when you make the connection with people.
Yeah.
Well, so exactly. And I snuck into your presentation that you gave at the Northwest Flower and Garden Festival, and I learned a thing or two myself, for sure.
Oh, good.
So, it was amazing. So walk us through, I'm trying to visually picture 40,000 seedlings. So walk us through the process that you have to really just get your farm ready for the sweet peas.
Oh, that's why right now it's like utter chaos, because it's like Tetris, because it's not just the sweet peas, it's all the other flowers and all the other seedlings that we're starting right now as well. So, I mean, it's anywhere I can fit a seed tray, there's something there. So it's I told my husband actually last night, I'm like, we need more greenhouses because I mean, it's honestly to the point where watering is almost a challenge because there's so many different, spaces and different levels of things. And it's just, it's a lot. But also, when they're in full bloom, I'm like, watering what? Like seedlings, what? Like I'll do it all over again. It's kind of like childbirth,
I was just going to say, it's like having a baby. You forget all that stuff.
It is, yeah. But honestly, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, everything's muddy, everything's wet, it's dirty, it's brown. There's not, nothing pretty in sight right now, but just the promise of what's to come. And I'm really excited to see all the new varieties. So that'll be fun. Yeah.
Now, do you have a seed starting machine, or are you starting these all by hand?
All by hand.
Wow. So you obviously have to stagger your plantings.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it takes a long time to sow 40,000 sweet pea seeds. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we started in January.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are you able to fall plant any, or do you just not do that by choice?
No, we fall plant also. So anything that's actually planted in my greenhouses is fall sown. Okay. So I have 2 production hoops and then 1 propagation house, but my 2 production hoops are full. They each have 3 rows of sweet peas. And then we've actually got bulb crates down the paths, around the rim and down the paths. And I've got seed trays on those. Like I said, they're everywhere. They're absolutely everywhere. So we're using every available space that we have. But it's, honestly, it's crazy. But then I'm like, can we do more next year? So I know.
My gosh.
Yeah.
We're best friends because we share a brain. I'm pretty sure we share a brain. Totally, I'm like, more greenhouses, more flowers, more seeds, more everything. Yes.
I know. And then I'm like, okay, more people, more help.
That's true. It's so true. You need help because you're not only growing these obviously for cut flowers, but you're producing seed. So there is so much work involved. So much work also that has to be very specific because you can't sell a seed that you're calling in one color and have it be something else. So you have to make sure that everything is exact. For me, I'm just throwing seeds in the ground and I'll figure out what it is later sometimes.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's where my type A personality really comes into play.
Good.
Because, during the season, that's one of the things that's really, really important, especially with the sweet peas, just because, left to their own devices, they get kind of, wild
They
and
do.
unkept. So when between varieties, I always make sure that there's, enough space so that it's very clear, just what variety is what, and that I'm very, very intentional about tying those plants on the ends so that there's nothing that's intertwining so that, customers are getting exactly what they order.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Now, sweet peas are a hardy annual. Can you
Yes.
explain to people who don't know what that is, what that means, so they can take a little bit of cold?
Yes, they can actually take a frost and a freeze like nobody's business. So sweet peas actually have this reputation for being this fragile flower, and that is the flower. The plant itself is super tough. So case in point, this was 2 years ago. I had my propagation house full of seedlings. They were probably about 4 inches tall, and we got a cold snap. It was in February, and we got a cold snap, and we got down to 9 degrees, and everything was just, yeah, like for us, that's cold. And so everything, I mean, the plants were crunchy, the soil was frozen rock hard. Like I went out there and, everything's just kind of like, there's like ice crystals on them. And within a few hours, they were right as rain. You never would have known it. So they are really, really tough. And when they're grown cold, they're more successful than they are if they're grown in a warm environment. So I know it's human nature for us to like want to nurture these plants and tuck them in and, keep your tomatoes warm and, just all of those things.
Yeah.
But sweet peas are very different. Like they like the cold from the beginning. And so just, when they're grown the right way, again, case in point, sharing with people, to be more successful, don't put them in your house where it's 70 to 80 degrees and, they're just going to bolt overnight because they're going to be too warm and then they're just going to be stressed out. So you want them short and stocky and you want them super tough. And then, they can take like those, really cold temps like a champ.
How long do you keep them in the seed tray before you plant them out?
So I use 50 cell trays.
Yep.
Just because a 72 is way too small, just because their root systems are so vigorous. So I keep them in their seed trays from the time that I plant or from the time that I start the seed until I plant in March. So we'll plant, we're going to plant here probably in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Soil requirements for sweet peas. What are they like?
So they love organic material. So the more compost, the more, the more amendments that you can work into your soil, the better. I always tell people like the more mushrooms that you see in your sweet pea patch, the better.
The better.
Just because they're such heavy feeders. So every year I'm always working more compost into our beds, taking a soil test. What are we looking at? What do we need to add? All of that kind of stuff. Because we have really heavy clay here in our soil. So we've really had to work at that over the years. But yeah, they're very, very heavy feeders, but love the compost.
Do you give them like a tea, like a compost tea at all?
Yeah. So I give them compost in the beds when I'm, getting everything ready for planting, before planting. And then I actually work compost into the planting as well. So I do like a compost treat kind of thing. And then we also do compost tea. So it's compost at 3 different stages of the growing season. And then as soon as they start to, set buds or you're starting to see that they're, there might be, starting to set buds, then I stop spraying. And then that's enough to get them through the rest of the season.
Okay. So so stop spraying when the flowers show up.
Yeah. Because the last thing you want to do is introduce all that nitrogen and then they're just going to drop their flowers like that. So, and you want your sweet peas to smell like sweet peas. You don't want them to smell like fish fertilizer.
No,
right?
That's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, that's the best part is the smell. So for sweet peas anyways, not the fish fertilizer, but so stop spraying and then you're golden the rest of the season.
Okay. How important is pinching and training really? So you pinch, train up the trellis.
Yeah. So pinching is key just because it, forces that plant to branch out. And so you want to do that before you get like the 3rd set of leaves. So I say after your first 2 sets of leaves, just pinch that center growing node. So when I'm planting, because I don't pinch my fall sown plants, but I will pinch my winter sown plants. So I'm pinching as I'm planting. So pinch, plant. Now, if you're another thing that people really don't know about sweet peas is you can propagate them, which is really cool. Yeah. So if you let your seedlings go like a little while, a little too long, you can actually, instead of pinching them, cut those tops off. And then you can actually put them in water and you should see them reroot. And then you can double your your stock. So if you
I
get
did not
King's
know
Ransom,
that.
yeah, so if you get King's Ransom and you only get 10 seeds, you can double your stock by cutting them. Just let them grow a little bit longer, cut those tops off like you normally would when you pinch, and then just put them in water and they'll root in about 2 weeks.
Wow, I've done that with snapdragons before, but I did not realize sweet peas would also do that.
Oh, yeah.
So that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to do that because I'm actually starting the seeds that I got from you this week.
Nice.
I'm so excited. Yeah. So, well, that's a good question. So, a lot of people say to soak the seeds. What say you?
I don't soak.
Okay.
I say no soak. Just because, so the myth behind soaking is that, well, it's a pretty hot topic in the sweet pea world because there's been, there's people that they've soaked from the beginning. That's what they've always done. So I always just tell people, I'm not saying don't do it. I'm just saying I don't do it. So the myth behind that is that because the seed coat is so thick and tough that soaking them for 24 hours will actually soften the seed coat and speed up germination. What it actually does is it reduces your germination rate and will actually has the chance of introducing bacteria and fungus to your seedlings. So it's really up to you. But when I tagged on Instagram and people are like, "Oh, I'm soaking my seeds," I'm like, "No, don't do it.
Don't do it." Okay.
Yeah. So it's totally up to you. But I think it's fun to do a side-by-side comparison, like soaking and not soaking, and just seeing. But I'm a huge proponent of like make it, work smarter, not harder. So when I'm growing 40,000, if there's a step that I can skip and just put some seeds in the soil, I'm all for that. But I actually asked Roger Parsons when I was visiting him in 2022 about soaking, and he said that he never soaks his seeds. So I'm like, you know what? I'm in good company.
Yeah. What would Roger do is a good thing.
Yeah. What would Roger do? Yeah.
Yes. So one of the biggest complaints that I hear from flower farmers is stem length. Do you have any tips on how to get longer stems?
Yes, absolutely. So there's some varieties that just lean towards having longer stem length, right? So there's Wild Swan actually gave me a 28-inch stem length. I know.
Wow.
Yeah, 28 inches. I was like, yeah, buddy. Spring Sunshine Peach, Castle Welland has really good stem length. The early flowering varieties grown in a hoop house, have really great stem length. The Japanese sweet peas have really great stem length. But there are things that you can do to encourage longer stems. So what I tell people is the tighter that you keep them to your netting, your trellis, or whatever you're using as your support system, they don't have anywhere to go but up and out, right? So if you're keeping them as taut to that netting as you possibly can, they don't have anywhere to go but that way. Whereas if you're just kind of letting them do their own thing and you're not tying them up, it's romantic and whimsy and all those kinds of things, but they're not going to have to reach for the sun, and that way you're going to get those L-shaped stems and those wonky stems. Whereas, if you keep them nice and tight, just some people will cordon their sweet peas, just to get those long stems. So that's kind of the thought and the idea behind it is just keeping them as taut to the netting. So I use twist tie wire throughout the season. I also use baling twine just to kind of keep them upright. As we've transferred more from cut flowers to seed production, it really doesn't matter as much to me anymore. For cut flowers, yes, but we don't.
Right.
We cut some, but we're not like a cut flower. That's all we do.
Yeah.
So for seed production, you want to plant them, further apart, give them more airflow, like all of those kinds of things. Whereas for cut flowers, you can cram those puppies together, but for stem length, you just want to make sure that they're taut and tight to that netting.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of netting, obviously these like to climb. Yes. And they need something to climb onto. And yes. I'm going to ask you to talk about one of the tips I learned during your presentation. So you've got the T-posts and the Hortonova netting.
Yes.
But you shared this secret to get them taller. And it was with the rebar. Talk about how you're using rebar to extend the length of your T-posts.
So I learned this my first season because it was funny looking back. I'm like, we had our 5-foot T-post in the ground. We had our 4-foot Hortonova, and I was like, we're golden. And then, we both laughed because we both know now. But so my husband's background is in construction. And so I was like, how can we get more height? And he was like, rebar. So he just took a piece of 8 or 10 foot rebar and nested it in the elbow of the T-post and then just tie wired it together. And it instantly gave us, I forget if it was 8 or 10 feet that first season, but it instantly gave us, 8 feet. So we just put another panel of netting up and, we were fine for the rest of the season. But that really taught us that, we can use the T-post, but also just, using that rebar. We've also used the combination of tie wiring two T-posts together, and that works just fine as well. But yeah, that T-post and rebar combination is, they're stout. We leave all of our supports in year round. So once it's installed, we don't have to reinstall it.
When I saw that slide on your presentation, a light bulb went off and I'm like, why didn't I think of that? Because we have so many 5 or 6 foot T-posts. I probably have 60 or 70 just left over from other projects.
Yeah.
And now I can utilize them by adding height because I have my father is an electrician, a builder. So we have access to a ton of rebar that is just sitting around. So you're changing my field this year with that advice. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Let's talk about some of your favorite varieties. Which ones are you loving right now?
Oh, man. It's like, I feel like, picking my favorites. Let's see. I mean, I always love Blue Shift. My boys call it the tie-dye flower. That one's it's always a huge hit with customers. They absolutely love Blue Shift. King's Ransom, I have to say, it's so just breathtakingly beautiful and really knocking the world of sweet peas on its head, just because it starts out this creamy peach and ends this smoky plum almost.
Wow.
It's incredible. So if you can get your hands on some seeds, that's an awesome one to try. Castle Wellen is on the cover of my book, and I absolutely love that variety. It's the perfect soft. It's not blush, but it's not peach either. It's just that perfect tone that just everybody loves. And that variety sells out so quickly every season. So it's a huge hit with florists and wedding designers and, all of that. Wild Swan, I love. It's a really beautiful white. And honestly, I look at the flowers differently. I mean, they look like swans to me now that when you actually observe them. It's the perfect name for it. And then Beverly Ann, I have to say, because it's named after my grandma, just for, sentimental reasons. But it's a beautiful, it's an early flowering, icy, soft blue. And yeah, I absolutely love that one also. I mean, I love them all in their own, they're all so different in their own way. But yeah, those are some of my favorites.
Well, I was going to ask you what the most overrated variety was, but now I'm not sure you want to answer that.
I don't want to answer that.
Okay, we'll give you a pass on that one. So what about the most underrated that you think should get more attention?
Man, there's so many good ones, Nicole. There's so many good ones. There's so many good ones.
What colors are you? What colors are the most popular colors right now?
So that's what's interesting from a seed growing perspective, seeing what customers are ordering. So it's really, you can actually see on the packing slips, like this is a cut flower farmer that's going to be growing for weddings. Like you can just see the soft muted pastels, the whites, the creams, the blushes. You can tell the difference between, your backyard gardener is going to go for the brighter colors. But yeah, honestly, you can't go wrong with white, cream, blush, the soft peach. The blues are really making a comeback as well. I'm really loving orange just in general, in all cut flowers, dahlias, sweet peas, you name it. So I really want to bring back the oranges. But yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong. There's every color besides yellow. There's every color in the rainbow.
Yeah, there is not a yellow. I didn't even think about that.
No.
So there's an orange dahlia called Marin, and I keep calling it Marin. I do. I keep calling it your name because it has 2 A's instead of 2 R's. And well, I think it's also called Sylvia. It's got 2 names, I think.
Yeah, so there's orange Sylvia and there's Marin. So it's like, which one is it? Yeah.
I keep calling it Marin. I do.
That's funny.
So, oh, I'm glad to hear that you're loving the orange dahlias. So
I love orange. I
yes,
love orange.
and you just had a huge dahlia sale over the weekend,
Yeah.
and you are still a few varieties left, but man, these dahlia wars are just intense.
Well, and we had about 22,000 tubers, and
Wow.
yeah. So the varieties that we have left, it's because we had
So much of it.
insane
Yeah.
inventory. So I mean, the orders are they're still coming in.
Yep.
It's just bananas. But honestly, to see something that you work so hard for, and then all of a sudden, poof, they're gone for the most part.
Oh, I think I logged onto your website 3 minutes after the sale opened, and there were a lot that were poof, gone. Yeah.
So we had 328 varieties for sale, and within the first hour, we had 174 that were sold out.
That's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah.
It's so much
Thank
work.
you.
I don't think people understand. And I think they're starting to understand because like we are showing the process of what it's like to grow something and then farm it. Like we are farming these things. And my husband and I we're going to attempt our first tuber sale this fall. Very, very minimal, like maybe 500 tubers. We're starting very small, but it's something that people have been asking me to do for a long time. And I feel like I might be ready for that. So I'm going to dip my toes in. And I feel like
if you need any tips, let me know.
Thank you. Yes. It's kind of amazing to see the flower, the shift in the world of people just loving buying from local farms.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's really shifted to, support local growers, local farmers. And, I mean, you're always going to get, the big box stores and stuff, that people are, my mom, she'll send me a message and I'm like, don't do it.
Yeah.
Buy local.
Yes.
So, anyways, but yeah, it's so wonderful to see just all of that support and, just coming through, for local growers. It's pretty awesome.
And you very smartly picked two different windows of like your sweet peas and your dahlias. Like at least they have. So when is the harvest season for your seeds though, for sweet peas?
So seeds is August, September. So we're constantly, it really depends on the variety. It depends on the weather. There's so many different variables. Like this last season, we started, so I don't really cut any of our sweet peas at all, unless it's, for a photograph for my website. Other than that, I'm keeping everything in the field for seed production.
Yep.
And they started blooming at like a foot tall because it was so dry and it was so warm. And I was like, no. So I'm literally like pinching all of these buds off of all 40,000, plants, really early on in the season. I'm like, come on, girls, you got to keep going. Going. But usually I don't really cut anything. So they're really kind of in their prime bloom wise. I would say the first 2 weeks of July here.
Yeah.
And then, then they start to fade a little bit just because, as the temperatures ramp up, they don't necessarily like that. And then they shift into, seed production. But it's great because as those guys are starting to kind of fade, the dahlias are starting to take, center stage. So, yeah.
How many dahlias do you grow?
8,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is amazing. How big is your farm?
We have 10 acres.
Okay.
Yeah. So we grow on about three and a half of that.
Yeah.
So.
I don't think I grow on that much. I might grow on 2 because I have a 1,400 peony field and then a 220 hydrangea field. And then I have my annual rose. And then I have where I'm going to be planting the dahlias is probably a third of an acre.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just, you can grow so much in not that much space.
Yeah.
Really can.
Well, and it's addicting, right? Like everyone you talk to, it's like they start, I started with, I was a little extreme at 350 when I started out, but it went from 350 to 1,500 to 5,000, it's easy. It's easy. It's
so easy.
To get caught up in it. Yeah.
Oh, I think I have about 2,000 new dahlias coming on order. I would say 90% from local farms.
Oh, that's awesome.
Not local, but like American small farms.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
and I just
Oh,
keep
that's awesome.
ordering. I just keep ordering.
I know. It's like I see something show up in my feed and I'm like, oh, what's on their sale?
Exactly. I actually
Yeah.
met someone at the Seattle show randomly in a plant booth. She was just filling in for a friend of hers, and we started
Yeah.
talking, and she's like, yeah, my farm is, I can't remember the name of it. And then I was
Yeah.
like, wait a second, I ordered dahlias from you. It was just so weird. Yeah, it's really, we're such a large but small community, if that makes
Such a
sense.
small world.
Yeah.
It's such a small world. Yeah,
Yes.
you think it's, but what's awesome is that we've been able to connect with, other growers like nationwide, worldwide, and we're all bonding and, getting to know each other over our love of flowers.
Yeah.
So it's honestly, flowers are an amazing connector.
They're beautiful.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah.
Well, what have sweet peas taught you about patience?
Oh, Lord. I am not a patient individual by any stretch of the imagination, but they've taught me, honestly, that good things are worth the wait. Just everything happens for a reason. There's a purpose. I really feel like I was meant to grow sweet peas. Looking back, when I was a kid, I remember my grandma talking about them, and it was just like this full circle moment. And now I'm like, oh, wait a second. Not only are they they've become my favorite flower, but they're my birth flower. Like, I feel like I was like destined,
Oh, yeah.
to grow sweet peas, to love them. So, I can't get enough of them, but they've taught me so much. They've taught me about myself. They've taught me about them. They've taught me, they've gotten me through actually some really, really tough stuff. So, I'm very grateful to them. And I just feel like, I want to give them the love and the attention that they deserve. I just feel like they're so overlooked, right? So many people overlook them as just this, they're a quintessential garden flower. So many people grow them, and, why are we not seeing more about sweet peas? So that was one of my, that was one of my things with the book.
Yeah, it's important to spread the knowledge that you have too. And that's what you're doing with this book. And I was thinking a few minutes ago about all of the little kids whose nicknames were Sweet Pea by the elders. Like it's ingrained in our society that sweet peas are something to be cherished. Really is.
I've had so many emails from customers or, readers that have just said, my daughter was nicknamed Sweet Pea. My grandma called me Sweet Pea. It was just so many correlations with sweet peas and grandmas and daughters and just, children, that it's pretty awesome. But I got an email from Dr. Hammett down in New Zealand, and he actually emailed me, and he, congratulations on the book. And he said that he has every sweet pea book that's ever been written, and that my book was the first book in 93 years that had been written about sweet peas in the United States.
Oh,
because all of them are from England. Yeah. So
wow.
I was just like, holy smokes. That was pretty awesome. So it was, just really, a really heartfelt email, and just, thanking me for, sharing my love of sweet peas. And I think we're all in it for the same mission, is just to get more sweet peas out into the world. But yeah, it was pretty awesome. So I know that was kind of like, I sent it to my publisher, and I'm like, just so you guys know, like we hit the mark with this one, just because, you're seeing all these books on dahlias and roses and, just all these other garden flowers. And so, that was one of my things. I was like, why are we not seeing, more books about sweet peas? So,
well, you filled the market. You did it.
Thank you.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with one more question for Marin. Welcome back to In the Garden with Flower Hill Farm. And I have one more question for the Sweet Pea Queen. Marin, tell us, what is inspiring you in the garden?
Oh, wow. Inspiring me in the garden this year is I want to do more breeding with sweet peas, do more crosses, really giving my own dahlias more space. And just, I've got a lot coming down the pipeline with that I'm really, really excited about. But every year, the garden inspires me in so many different ways. Not only, sharing my love of flowers with other people, but also, inspiring other growers to grow, and other farmers, that are getting into this, just that are looking down the pipeline, like how to do it. Sharing that knowledge with them, and just sharing the farm and the love of flowers, and just seeing the farm through other people's eyes. Like, I'm sure at your farm, when you have people there, like, you're like, oh, don't look that's, I need to weed that, I need to do this, I need to do that. And it's funny because when I go to other people's farms, I don't see all that stuff. I just see the beauty. And so when I see my own farm through other people's eyes, that actually inspires me to, it's not all lollipops and rainbows, right?
No.
It's a lot of hard work. And just seeing their reaction to the farm and what we're doing and our story just really inspires me to keep going. And, that we're really touching people in a way that I never would have been able to do had I sat or was still sitting in that cubicle. So yeah. So honestly, I'm just inspired by just the little things, those little moments that, other people might not notice, but just really mean a lot to me. Those emails that people are like, I just found you and I'm just so inspired by your story. And I don't, I want to make a career change, and, just all of the people that drive by our farm and honk and they're like, it looks beautiful, there's so many different, So it's all inspiring to me. And I'm really looking forward to taking my cup of coffee out into the garden. And, those early mornings are my favorite. And just really being still with the flowers and just kind of seeing what's next.
Early foggy mornings are my favorite. I don't know what it is about fog. Good. It's so magic. So magic. So I'm going to come out to your farm and I'm going to stay on your little extra house there. Are you Airbnb-ing it?
We're not Airbnb-ing it. We're doing it through its own website. So we're like 2 weeks away from announcing everything.
Cool.
I know. Yes. So please come out. Please stay with us. So this year's going to be a really big year for us. So we're really excited about that venture, and just, being able to share the farm in a different aspect with people and just kind of giving them that experience. Of, a field full of flowers.
Awesome. I can't wait to look out the window and see your field. That's on my list. Let's do 2027. Let's do it.
2027 down. And I'm going to be down for helping with weeding.
I am. Sign me up. And my husband too. Put Brad Pitt on a list. He'll do it. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. It's been amazing. And we'll have to have you back sometime and we'll talk more breeding. I'm really into what you have going on with the breeding of the flowers. So.
Well, thank you so much for having me. And I can't wait to see what blooms this season. We'll have to see what comes out of those crosses I made. So
and you are very inspiring and you built this life. So you should be proud of yourself. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. Right back at you, girlfriend.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Bye.
Take care. Bye. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I'm your host, Nicole Pitt, and you can find more of my garden adventures over on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Flower Hill Farm. And of course, all of the seeds and garden goodies we talked about are waiting for you at botanicalinterests.com. Or check your favorite local garden center to see if they carry botanical interests, like we do at the Boone Street Nursery. Save 5% by using the code INTHEGARDEN. Want to see what we're talking about? Subscribe to the Botanical Interests YouTube channel for the video version. We'll see you next time in the garden. I'll meet you there.